Hey guys, it's Josh, and welcome to my official devlog for Joshawott: The Power of Eevee, my own official fan game. Now, what is it about this fan game that inspired me to make it? Well, I've always been a fan of the Mega Man games, and I've always been a fan of Pokemon ever since I played my first game, Pokemon Black and White. So, before I got into making this game, I went through a few things and, well, I found out that the Pokemon Mega Man games were pretty cool and inspired me a lot to make this game, ever since Pokemon X and Y. So, what is this game all about? Well, it's about, me, going to rescue my best friend Tom Pig from the clutches of Team Rocket. Now, what inspired me to make Eevee's evolutions the official bosses for this game? Well, in the Mega Man games, there has always been 8 Robot Masters, except for in the first game where there were 6. But Eevee's evolutions, ever since Sylveon came out, I knew that Eevee's evolutions would be the perfect Robot Masters to fight in any Pokemon game that was like this. Plus the fact that the Robot Masters end in Man mostly, and the fact that Eevee's evolutions end in Eon would be the perfect match for the bosses here in Joshawott: The Power of Eevee. Now, Eevee itself is not a playable character, but Eevee is somewhere in this game. Where, you ask? Well, you'll just have to play the game to find out. And the stages in the game, the stages took a lot of inspiration from Mega Man's 2, 1, and 3. Not in that order, but yeah. Also, the music for each stage is different as well. Like the fact that Glaceon stage uses Iceman's theme, but it uses Gemini Man's music. So yeah. Also the fact that each of Eevee's evolutions has a different element like the Robot Masters do also makes another perfect match for them to be the bosses. Now, these Eevee evolutions, these bosses, are not like the typical enemies you face in the normal stage. Most of the time, the enemies in each stage only have one move that they use against you, whether it be running into you, jumping into you, or shooting a certain weapon at you. Although some of these enemies have some unique programming to them. But these Pokemon Masters, they are some of the toughest enemies you will ever face, because each of them has 4 different attacks. Now, each of them knows 2 normal moves and 2 elemental moves based on their type of element. Like, for example, Umbreon knows 2 different moves. He knows Dark Pulse, which is the move you learn from him, and Assurance, which is effective if you're trying to run away from him, because it reaches out a certain distance before slamming on top of you. So yeah, each of these elements has its own strength and weakness. So just like in the Mega Man games, it's up to you to try to find out which element is weak to what. Or rather, which Pokemon Master is weak to which weapon. Like, for example, Vaporeon has technically 2 different weaknesses. But if you've played a Pokemon game, you should know what those weaknesses are. Also, that is something else I should mention. Your character, Joshawott, is also a water type. So it'd be kind of easy to take hits from fire attacks than it would from electrical and grass attacks. So yeah, it's a huge damage difference based on which element that the enemy is using against you. Also, after you clear each of the 8 stages and make it into Team Rocket's base, you'll find that the enemy combinations and the bosses will be a lot harder than the Pokemon Masters were. What's waiting for you in Team Rocket's base? Like I said, I do want to keep a few surprises, so you'll have to play the game to find out. Also, one last thing I will mention is that you will notice that the game doesn't have a save and load feature like it does in Mega Man's 9 through so on. But it does have a password system. The password system is basically your save file. So every time you make progress in the game, you'll probably want to take a screenshot or a photo of the certain password that you get after you've defeated a Pokemon Master or cleared a level. So you might want to keep an eye out on that password screen. Well, anyway, I think I should go ahead and wrap it up for this video. So that is all for the first devlog of my game, Joshawott the Power of Eevee. And if you want another devlog, I might get into some depth about some of the other stages and some of the enemies in the game, or I might answer some questions that you guys have for me about the game. So, I will see you all next time.